because of that, in order to cover the debt service on the loans that we have for those projects, we will be considering rate increases. So,
Magnitude.
yeah, they're going to be significant.
Tax and spend.
We are currently reviewing several different options, but ultimately, the debt service that we have now, just to be able to pay back the loans that we have, will really require nearly twice as much as we're collecting from the average person. So that doesn't mean necessarily everyone's rate will double, but just to cover our costs, the average bill will, at some point, be close to twice as much what it is now. So what I'm saying is we are going to be advertising. We're going to be advertising, I believe, in the paper to elicit the public to come to the meetings and obviously voice their opinion. There's a process to do that. You'll notify the sewer authority that you'd like to come and speak before the authority. Our meetings are the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30 in this room, and there'll be one next month. And at that time, we'll be at least reviewing the report put together by the engineer at for rate studies. Obviously, there's lots of other work going on in the borough right now with regard to the sewer improvements. I know that's been creating some inconveniences for people. I hope that the notices are being put out. The contractor is required to notify people on the street when they're doing work in that area. And if you aren't getting notices, again, you should notify the sewer authority. So there's that information can kind of be passed out.
I think part and parcel of that is Alcoasane is increasing their rates for the next 7 years, each year for the next 7 years.
Yeah, they're actually, it's like 15% year-over-year increase. And you have to keep in mind that the money that the sewer authority collects, I think it's more than 50% of it, goes just to pay the borough's Alcoasane fees. So it's not really going into the sewer authority just for improvements, but it's a pass-through directly to the fees that Alcoasane charges us in order to treat the sewer.
And essentially, that's a result of the United States Department of Environmental Protection and DEP and the Health Department on requirements that need to be made by 2026.
Yeah, or some sooner.
32, yeah.
And maybe council will be interested to know also that, you know, that we've been operating for a long time under our an expired consent order. And DEP, we've gotten word at the last meeting that DEP is issuing new consent orders to all of the constituent municipalities that encompass the Alcoasane system. We have not received a new one yet, so we're still operating on our old one, but we expect that we will be receiving a new one. That new one undoubtedly will have new projects that we have to accommodate to be in compliance. So, you know, we've spent over $10 million in improvements in the past, 6 years, and we expect many more millions of dollars will be mandated to us. So everyone knows.
Unfunded federal mandate.
I have one question.
Many. Yeah.
Bring back 911.
And this is a serious question.
Yeah.
I'm not making a joke of it, but are there any vacancies on the board?
There are no vacancies on the board.
There are no vacancies.
We have, it's a 5-member board, and we have, I've really tried to be diligent. I'm not the chairperson, but Ms. Fleming is, and she has been diligent in making sure we do have regular meetings, and they're actually attended by all the board.
And no one's running on an expired term there.
I'll check that out. The
I don't
last
know.
appointment we made was Andy Fedoris.
I remember that.
We filled a vacancy at the beginning of the year.
Right,
And me,
but
yeah.
I'm just curious because, I mean,
I'll check
it's
it
quite
out.
obvious that things have been just not checked, so I think we need to check there as well.
I can't answer. I was only on the chief.
Thank you.
Mel,
Thank you.
I just have a comment. I was gonna make sure that the project manager, Mark, knows about community days, so we can coordinate the construction to be out of that area for setup and tear down, just, you guys can do your work.
That's what he was
Can
asking
you do
about.
that?
Yes.
Okay. We obviously use the same consultant, so if you could notify them to make sure the area is kept clear going out.
That's what Rich was asking about.
Yeah, I'll make sure that they know that date they need to be out. the week before.
Thursday.
I'll say it, yeah.
Matt, the last conference we were at, the county was talking about regionalization.
Yes.
That was their big word, they kept, pounding that in, to everybody. Has anything been talked about with our sewer authority about any mergers looking into working with other people, you know, to keep the cost down.
Yes, so that, a lot of that information comes from the cone report that was created across the whole county, and actually a little beyond in the areas Alcoasand covers outside of Arlington. So, I think there's a big push to do that, but there's no definite plans at this point. What I can say is that our Munhall Authority has met with the DEP and with Alcoasand, and has proposed that Alcoasand look into taking over some of our combined systems, because we do share some pipelines with neighboring boroughs,
Yeah.
and we'd like to be part of that process. So they're opening that process out, it's public information, they're opening that process up to many boroughs who have this intermunicipal collector system.
Aren't they taking over the lines bigger than 23 inches?
Well, there is some criteria that they have, and
Yeah,
actually,
I thought it was 12 inches.
yeah,
12, is it 12?
We were at the meeting,
Yeah, right.
at the library,
Mhm.
and that's what they were talking, it was 12 inches, I believe.
yeah, there's, which ours would qualify for. There are criteria, and we met with them independently, and we went over and we've identified miles of pipes within our system that would be candidates for this. However, you know, Alcoasand isn't real excited about inheriting all the liabilities as well. So, you know, it's in the process, though. And we're actually hoping that some of our, the items that will be in our new consent order will look favorably on the fact that we are trying to be proactive in getting these lines taken.
There was something in there too about, you know, they wanted them fixed to a certain degree before they took them over.
I don't remember that portion, but
Yeah, I
it
thought-
might have been.
Yeah.
I came late to the meeting, but I
Yeah.
remember them talking about that.
That's what they were talking about.
I don't think they want to take over, again, I don't think they want to take over our
Improvements,
liabilities.
yeah, improvements are to be made to a certain degree. It don't- You know, it doesn't have to be all the way, but there was something. Okay, thank you, Matt.
Matt, tell them Alcoasand's having an open house this weekend.
Where at?
Down at their plant.
Don tells me Alcoasand's had an open house this week.
Volunteer.
Free samples?
Free refreshments.
I guess in my last comment on that is Matt and I have talked several times about sewer authority issues, and one of the multi-million-dollar projects that we're embarking on is to put a 26-inch pipe down the 36-inch pipe down the Ravine Street Creek. And when you get down to the river, you get partially out into the river where Alcoasand owns the line. It goes into what, a 9-inch pipe? 18 inch. So I don't know how you put 36 inches of sewage into an 18-inch pipe without
The
backing it
people
up.
up on Jefferson Street can tell you about it.
So with that, we'll move on to items for consideration. We're gonna have a public hearing on ordinance 1573. I'll turn it over to Greg.
Thank you. This is a public hearing for council to consider the enactment of ordinance 1573, which authorizes Munhall Borough to enter into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Borough of West Homestead and the Borough of Homestead. This pertains to the waterfront TIF district, which will expire in 2018. This is a continuing issue. We have a current agreement in place, and we need a new one that will take us to the end of the expiration of the TIF district. In the TIF, there is a waterfront maintenance fund. There's a trustee that makes an annual distribution for maintenance of the public infrastructure within the waterfront TIF district. And of course, that encompasses this borough, also Homestead and West Homestead. Part of the waterfront TIF district lies within those three boroughs. So there's an annual payment made to this fund, and the three boroughs have to decide jointly what to expend those funds on. For example, this past year, there was a lot of paving done at the waterfront, which you may have noticed going down, and there will be another distribution coming up. So what has been agreed upon previously, has worked successfully, is that we have used the COG as the entity that receives the money and goes out for bids and handles the administrative work, and the presidents of the three boroughs then decide on behalf of their respective councils how we're going to spend this money each year for the benefit of the waterfront. So this is the system we've had in place for years. It's renewing that to take us to the expiration in 2018. So that's a summary of the agreement which the ordinance then adopts. Any questions from the public or comments about this?
I have a question, nothing to do with our other TIF litigated money that,
None.
township is getting,
Yeah,
nothing. to
this
do
is
with-
totally separate,
So,
Mayor.
I see what it is.
Yeah,
I just want to be sure that legally, I'm not that diverse, so, I want to be sure we know what the hell I'm talking about.
yeah, no, that other issue is still, litigation, it's completely independent of this.
Mr. Thomas?
Yeah.
Does the paving just go to the streets, or does it also go to the parking lots?
No, it doesn't go, the parking lots are private property, it's not used for that. It's catch basins, public roads, public streetlights. And we included the two pump houses. We put this format together, I don't know, 2 years ago. It's worked really well. There's a limited pot of money that comes from the TIF, which is gonna come to an end. But there's also, actually, it's not gonna end in 2018. There's a continuing, we're trying to get a continuing agreement of funding into the future so that the waterfront public infrastructure can be maintained, and the next council's gonna have some input on that, but
That's correct, but the actual TIF distributions will end in 2018, but the discussion of current council and for a number of years is it's a good idea for these three communities to continue to work together beyond the end of the TIF fund, because this is an important asset to all three communities to maintain the public portion of it. So it'll become then the responsibility of the municipalities then to fund this together. So it's been a good cooperative effort, and the idea is that will continue.
I have a
Who
question.
else?
Is ordinance 1573 replacing an existing ordinance? Like, is there already an agreement?
there is an agreement.
There is, but it's, that agreement expires, I believe.
Amending previous intergovernmental agreements.
And is there any substantial changes between this agreement and the previous agreement?
No, what we have here for the setup is exactly the same. It's just essentially renewing this process of how these funds will be expended. One thing I didn't mention is the three council presidents agree, of course, and they work in conjunction with the members of council, but they will be the representatives that agree how the money will be spent. It has to be a unanimous decision, so you can't have two municipalities outvote another one. So.
They wanted majority, and our position was it had to be unanimous consent to spend the money.
Does that include the bike trail too?
No,
Because when you ride the bike down there, it's not level, it's on an angle.
that's the trail council's issue, that's not owned by the waterfront.
Now, you aren't involved in that then.
No.
Does this include the sidewalks?
Yes, sir.
We've never repaired sidewalks down there.
Well, there are public sidewalks down there, correct?
Yeah.
If there are public sidewalks, that would be
It
included.
depends where they are. Let me say that. I think it probably does include some limited sidewalks, but the majority of the sidewalks down there would not be public.
The ones on Waterfront Drive.
Yeah.
So we're not fixing the ones in front of Giant Eagle.
No.
No, I'm talking the ones right on the main drag when you,
The ones on Waterfront
Yeah.
Drive.
They may be. I can't say for certain.
The,
They may be.
The flyover would be,
no, the
What?
flyover's not in the TIF district.
No,
What we
that's not
just-
it.
Yeah.
This is the TIF
the
district.
demarcation point is, if it's privately owned, this agreement's not covering that. We're not fixing the waterfront's property.
I understand that.
We're fixing only public infrastructure. So if we own the sidewalk, we may have to
And
fix.
it's wherever we
Okay.
accept it. I just can't tell you off the top of my head if we accepted those sidewalks, for example, adjacent to Waterfront Drive. I don't.
Except the curb to curb.
I believe it was, but that wasn't the TIF district. We accepted curb to curb from the flyover and so forth.
only.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else have any questions or comment?
Just for whoever would be the next president, I don't know if you noticed down there, because you mentioned about the street lights, a lot of them are gonna need painted here
you know, if you look at that, and I don't know who owns the bridge, but that's gonna need, because it's the beginning of the end, you know. That's something to keep in mind. I know you did the paving and stuff, but maybe this time around, we need to look at the street lights and some of the other stuff.
Well,
If they are
We
part of the
spent-
system.
we spent $800,000 last year paving Waterfront Drive
Mm.
that used all but, and there were some catch basins that were repaired as well, that used all but about $40,000 or $50,000 of available TIF funds. $125,000 goes in there each year, but only for 2 more years.
Yeah.
So the issue is, there's not a lot of money. That money was discovered that it was sitting there and not used for maintenance when they had to sell to Wilco. And they said, hey, we want to use this money. And that's when we came up with the.
You know, you gotta keep up with it, or it's gonna
Distribution.
end up
But
looking like
the
Main
issue
Street in
going
Munhall.
forward is that 3 boroughs are gonna have to
You see all that?
figure out how to
Yeah.
fund maintenance for the infrastructure at the waterfront. And there's gonna have to be an agreement. And what Homestead and West Homestead are pushing vehemently is a business, a BIT it's called, a Business Improvement District, BID, Business Improvement District tax. I personally don't think that having another tax for the businesses is the way to get money to improve that infrastructure, but that's just my opinion. So, any other questions on the hearing,
Anything else on
on
the
the ordinance?
All right, that concludes the public hearing, thank you.
Okay.
Council can vote.
I'm entertaining motions.
Motion number 1, motion to adopt ordinance 1573.
Motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously.
Motion number 2, motion to promote Becky Worth from part-time secretary assistant to full-time secretary at an annual salary of $35,000 with benefits as afforded to any full-time employee effective beginning of the next pay period.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion on the motion?
She deserves it.
Becky has done a great
Come on,
job
you're
for
talking,
us
Mayor?
in the year or so she's been here, and we've lost, as Dan said earlier, I think Dan said we lost our part-timer, she moved out of town, and Becky was part-time, we're working with 2 part-timers, now we're gonna have 1 full-timer and Bob. And probably it'll cost us a little bit less.
I'd just like to add, I've never had anything but good comments. I've never had a bad comment. Becky, I gotta commend you. The face of the borough, even though it doesn't look so great on this camera, the voice of the borough does pretty well for us, so thank you. With that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion carries unanimously.
You go from 5 hours to 12 hours.
Number 3, motion to adopt resolution 2015-07, approving the installation of handicap parking signs at the following. Number 1, 4106 Fairfield Avenue. Number 2, 3316 Gray Street. Number 3, 4600 Main Street.
Yes.
Well, we have to get the motion first.
The attachments, you have the attachments on page 40 and thereafter. I'm sorry, 36 and thereafter in your packets.
Motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
All these have been approved, right, Pat?
They've all been site inspected, they do meet the requirements.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously.
Number 4, motion to accept the Munhall Borough Parks and Recreation Board bylaws as adopted by that board on September 1st, 2015. We have those and they were sent out, everyone, page 42 through 45.
Motion. Second.
Discussion,
Question,
question?
has anyone read these?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm good.
It pretty much followed the guideline template that we were thinking of, 7 to 11 members, staggered terms.
Tells you how to fill vacancies.
They're actually pretty basic, I mean, there was, some cost.
I read them and I went to the meeting.
Okay, any other questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries.
No,
Oh, we have one no vote.
I haven't had time to read them, so I can't vote yes or no.
Okay, well, the motion carries 5 to 1.
Number 5, we already did.
Yes.
You got that, Becky? Number 5, we already did. Number 6, motion to pay bills for the period August 13th, 2015 through September 10th, 2015, summarized as follows. Administration, $47,410.77. Police, $49,236.77. Fire, $82,283.58. Health and sanitation, $31,891.23. Public Works, $60,694.09. Recreation, $3,631, and miscellaneous, $14,272.99. Total, $289,389.71. 74. Let's see if you guys are listening. Page 54 through
Motion by
56.
Mr. Ballas, do we have a second to pay the bills?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bodine, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion is unanimous.
Number 7, motion to approve payroll for the period August 27, 2015 through September 10, 2015 as follows. August 27th, $118,354.94. September 10th, $116,170.09, for a total $234,525.03.
Do we have a motion?
Motion, second.
Motion by Mr. Bodine, second by Mr. Paul. Question on the motion. Can we have this for next month broken down, just by having a break it down by department?
You asked that before, we didn't, I'm sorry.
Okay. So next month it'll be sanitation, public works, police, and administration, four categories.
What is the firehouse, 82,000?
All those, that's the expenditures of fixing equipment, repairing equipment.
65
of that is the truck fund donation.
Is there a breakdown on that?
It's right behind, no, so they have, council has it.
All these expenditures are accumulation of the monthly bills. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously.
Oh, I have, I just need to sign that ordinance.
I'll entertain a motion to, oh,
My
Mayor.
community day school too.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just, Bob, we talked last week regarding, a call from the district attorney and cameras. Did they get in touch with you regarding the paperwork they sent?
No, they did not, but that was part of the ordinance that was adopted
Adopted tonight, so we don't have our paperwork.
in a couple days.
I just want to get my community day spiel. This year, community day, as we've heard earlier, is October 3rd. The time is going to be from 11 to 6. It's in partnership this year, an equal partner with community day is the Carnegie Library of Homestead, and I would say Carnegie Library of Homestead in Munhall, because it's in Munhall where the event is going to be. And we're going to close down 10th Avenue for the day. That's where our booths are going to be set up. Our entertainment's going to be at Kennedy Park. At 11 o'clock, we're going to start what we've always had, our tradition with the Junior Olympics. 12 o'clock will be pretty much our opening ceremonies, where everything opens, food booths, and interesting stuff started. There'll be games, there'll be food booths, there'll be the library is going to have a lifeguard up at the swimming pool. So anybody that wants to go for a swim is welcome to go up into the library. And they'd also give tours of the library on that day. You know, if you want to see the fitness center or so forth. The pool, if you're under the age of, if you're a minor, you have to be accompanied by an adult. There'll be live music all day. Two of our big attractions, 2:30 to 4:30 is going to be Gabby Barrett. 4 to 6, we're going to have Matt Tashawn. There will be beer sold by the library, up by the library steps. We have to keep it up there because the insurance to bring it down to 10th Avenue would be a little bit too much. And we wanted to skip that cost, so if you want a beer, you gotta walk to the top of the steps.
They have a liquor license.
The library does have a liquor
And the
license.
good thing about it is that if you can't make it to the top of the steps,
You
you
can't
should
drink.
be having another beer.
Some of our vendors are gonna be,
How about going down the steps?
well, I mean, watching down the steps, I guess. And they will be IDing, and they will be, the library has an ID, and anybody that, the first beer they buy will have your tag, so they will be IDing people. They're gonna have fall beers, you know, specializing in those. Some of our food we're gonna have is we're gonna have a barbecue there, we're gonna have hamburgers, hot dogs, we have a German booth, a Filipino booth, the Scots are selling all the pop, water, and snacks. We should have pizza. I need to hear from some of the fire halls. Glenn, I need to know what you guys are gonna do if you're gonna have just let me know. You know, what you know about the weekend, have a good meeting on Monday at the library again. And if anybody wants to attend, they're all welcome to attend the meeting. Monday, they're at the library, and it starts at 6 o'clock. So that's what I have for the library. I'm going to give it to I wrote some things down for our daily news report. I wrote some things down and speaking up me and put a little blurb in there about our community day. And
If you haven't been to the Carnegie Library in a long time, you need to go there. The changes that have taken place, it was last year chosen as one of the top 25 most interesting libraries in the country. It's just a lot to see what's transpired and what's going on. I'm glad we're partnering with them. I think the community day down there is going to be great because there's shades. We had it on Westfield. We can't have it on Westfield with the dirt, but there's shade down there. If it happens to be a hot day, you can hide from the sun. So
we've ordered 20 by 20 tent. We have a lot more chairs and seating. The library is letting us use all of their chairs and tables, which are. We have another meeting Monday at 6 o'clock.
with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, and anybody, I have 2 signs here tonight. Anybody that has a good spot in their yard, come up and grab it before you leave. If you need a sign, let me know. We'll try to get some more out.
Are you gonna have special parking for handicap?
We can discuss that at the meeting. We'll try to help you out if we can.
Do you have a sign with your name on it, Ray? Tell us where to put
Oh,
it.
they won't give me a handicap.
You have a handicap warrant?
No, I got it now, yeah, they won't
Can I
give me a
have a
handicap.
motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
All those in favor of adjournment? We're adjourned.
Hey, Brendan.
How you doing?
still back. You mean the back of the bus? Because they still have to drive.